Hey, it's Keisha from Imperial Apparel and Customs, and I'm back with another video finally. Today's video is about decals. We're making decals for a place in town. So I'm gonna give you tips on how to make this easy peasy for you when you do decals, because making decals should be easy, but sometimes there's a lot of issues you run into, especially when it comes to getting it to stick to transfer tape. So here we go. Stay tuned. Tip number one, make sure that you have one of these. This is a rotary cutter. Now, you don't need one per se, but if you have a rotary cutter, it really makes cutting through large amounts of decals a breeze versus using something like this, which you also need. But sometimes when you're trying to just speed up the process, that can actually be a little bit slow. It does have more control, I think, but I mean, when you really want to get a bunch of them done, this makes it a bit faster. So I definitely recommend one. This is Fiskars. I got it at Walmart for like $10, I think. They're pretty cheap. I mean, this is a smaller one. You don't need anything big. So definitely have one of these. Now, the way that I use this is that, say, like I've got a bunch of them on this mat. So like that, it's like I'll put like with this is a smaller one, so it's about 5 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. So I'm able to put two, next to each other and just go down that way. But when I want to just like get through them real quick, I'll do a slice up the middle with this, and then I'll just be like boom, 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 and just cut them off that way. Then when it comes to weeding, then all I gotta do is weed it, pull it, done. And it just makes it a lot faster when it comes to getting through them. It makes it more efficient because then you can just weed them all and then take them all off, boom, boom, boom. Then you don't have to go back and, have to recut or whatever. And these are real sharp blades. They're real good, so you don't have to worry about nothing like that. But yeah, I definitely recommend one of these. Second thing I recommend using is double-sided tape. It doesn't have to be double-sided tape, but I prefer double-sided tape just because I use this when it comes to having to take off individual decals. So I'll take them off the mat before I put the tape on, because when you take them off of a mat, especially when it's a newer mat, they tend to curl, right? So for me to be able to better adhere the transfer tape to the decal, I will put double-sided tape on the back and stick it to a flat surface like a table or whatever. And then that allows me to be able to put the transfer tape on without it, me wrestling with the curls of the paper, or there being like massive air bubbles because it was curled, or, any issues with laying the transfer tape on the decal. It pretty much eliminates that. So I definitely recommend, in my opinion, double-sided tape, because you can fold it over on itself. It's very sticky. You can use it with more than one decal. It's not something you need to every time you do a decal and finish it, you have to change it out. I probably use about, for something this size, I use a piece of tape for each end, and I can probably use it for at least 5 decals, maybe more, like 5 to 7 decals before I've either cut it on accident or it just becomes less sticky. So definitely double-sided tape. This is Scotch. Again, Walmart, it's like a couple of bucks. Get that. Another tip, make sure that you use Oracal 651 vinyl only, pretty much. It depends, of course, it depends on what kind of surface you're sticking it on, or if you want it to be removable or not. But your usual, if it's for windows, cars, anything like that, doors, whatever, Oracal 651 is the best signed vinyl, in my opinion. I don't have any issues with it cutting. It cuts perfectly. It weeds perfectly. It's super easy. I mean, you're going to have issues when it comes down to smaller stuff, but I mean, in terms of it compared to Cricut, permanent vinyl, this is a whole nother world. It is great. Nothing stands up to this, in my opinion. So definitely stick with Oracal 651 for decals, your usual decals for windows, or anything like that. Just stickers. This is some good stuff. I get mine. This is a tube from Sign Warehouse. If you want to get a nice size of it, definitely go to Sign Warehouse. But if you don't want to do that and you're doing like real small orders or something like that, you don't feel like spending that much money, you can definitely go to Michaels. I know Michaels sells Decals 651 in smaller tubes, and it's the same stuff, so you can definitely do that. I definitely fall back on Michaels if I run out or something else happens. Usually I run out. I'll go down to Michaels and get the same thing. So definitely Decals 651 is the best. I just stubbed my toe. Oh, God. Anyway, like, why is it always the pinky toe? It's always my pinky toe. Oh, gosh, it hurts so bad, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm good. Okay, tip number, I think this is 4. I don't know, but the next tip, we'll go with that. Make sure that you have different size, I guess these are called squeegees. I think they're called squeegees. Because you sometimes you need different sizes. Like some people use like credit cards. You can use a credit card as a squeegee, but I just feel like you need something more robust when you really need to start putting force on stuff. So these are Cricuts squeegees. I got them at Michaels. You can find them on Sign Warehouse, any place, US Cutter, you can find them. Heat Press Nation probably has some. It doesn't really matter where you get them from. Just some that's got a little bit of thickness to them, like these. I like these because they kind of contour to your hand a little bit, so it's easy for you to kind of put force down into the tip as you're squeegeeing them. But I like to have different sizes because when you put yourself, like when you're trying to use just like something like this, it can be a lot more work on your hands, a lot more stress on your joints. Like depending on the size of it, it is what it is. But my life changed when I got this thing because now I have options. So if this isn't cutting it, then I can use this. But if I had to add another tip to this, if you have to have only one squeegee, get a big one. This thing is amazing. So, in fact, I usually, unless I'm doing like real small stuff or I'm having trouble with a specific letter that's small, I don't really use this. I'll use this. So this is really only for like, oh my gosh, I'm really having some issues or I'm doing something really, really small that just needs, it doesn't call for this, so. But yeah, definitely, if you have something like this is good, but I would definitely recommend getting a bigger one. I got this at Michael's for, I think, probably like $10, $12. I don't know, I've had it for a while. So, but they do sell packs of squeegees, so you can get like 2 to 3 of them in a pack for however much. So I would recommend getting a pack. That way, no matter what you're doing, you got every size possible, or if something happens, you got a backup, or you lose it, something like that. So definitely recommend that. That sound you hear in the background is my dog chewing on his bone because I'm not giving him attention every second of the day. So whenever he feels like I'm talking to someone else, or I'm just not paying enough attention because I'm working or whatever, he chews on his bones. So that is the noise that is in the background, if you're wondering. All right, next tip. Make sure that you have a good weeding tool. Again, this is Cricut's weeding tool. I ended up getting the kit. That's why a lot of my stuff is Cricut. But anything that has a nice point like this, they sell different kinds of weeding tools like that in a pack. Cricut does. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon or anything like that, other brands. And they also include tweezers. Definitely get tweezers, because sometimes this isn't enough. Sometimes this is good for initially picking up the vinyl when you're starting, but sometimes things move. You might accidentally take a piece off, and I'm telling you, these tweezers have been a godsend for saving projects or saving aspects of projects when something doesn't come off or read right. I can just take these tweezers and bloop and put it right back where it was actually supposed to be. So yes, definitely have a good weeding tool, but also have a good pair of tweezers, because at some point this isn't going to be enough and you're going to want these, And it'll be the difference literally between you having to recut something or not recutting something. So definitely have both. All right, next tip. Make sure you have a good kind of transfer tape. This is transfer tape from Sign Warehouse. I can't really tell you which one it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is a medium tack transfer tape. Now let me explain this a little bit, because I think one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing about making decals, is getting the vinyl to stick to transfer tape. So there's many kinds of transfer tape out there. As far as Oracal 651 goes, I mean, some argue you need a high tack, some argue you need medium tack. My customer that I'm doing these decals for, the last time I did them, I used a high tack transfer tape and they didn't like it. So they asked specifically for a less sticky transfer tape. So I'm trying this from Sign Warehouse. This is a medium tack, and so far so good. I like it. It's almost not sticky enough. So I do have to do a little bit more squeegeeing and working with it to do it. But I would recommend definitely some transfer tape from Sign Warehouse. If I can remember, I'll put it in the description what exactly this is. But this is my first time using it, and so far so good. It's been a breeze compared to the transfer tape that I was using last time, where I wasted so much time having to just make it less sticky and then put it on the decal. Definitely get some transfer tape where it makes your life easy, where all you gotta do is cut it, stick it on decal, squeegee it on, and then it's good to go. So, but that's gonna bring me right into the next tip. All right, next tip. This is about actually squeegeeing the vinyl or the decal. So this is what I've learned between working with good transfer tape and bad transfer tape tips for getting it to be a breeze as much as it possibly can. So when you're squeegeeing, make sure that not only that you squeegee the front, sorry, you probably can't even see that you squeegee the front in an angle like this. This is about probably 30-degree angle right here. So not totally flat, but you don't want it to be up like this, because especially when you're using a more thin transfer tape like this, you can rip it. So you definitely want to lower that angle. That puts more pressure down on the decal so it can make sure that it adheres to that transfer tape. So not only do you want to squeegee the front, you also want to squeegee the back. Okay, so if you do both, this should help eliminate troubles, at least somewhat, when it comes to getting it to stick to the transfer tape. Because at least in my experience, if you only squeegee the front, you're gonna be doing a lot more work trying to get that vinyl to stick on there without putting that same pressure on the back. Because the thing about it is this: you need the way that you would peel this off is not from the transfer tape side. You wouldn't you wouldn't lay it down with this faced up, with the transfer or the decal faced up, and then peel the tape back like this. You wouldn't do that. You would flip it over and peel off the back. So if you want to do a test to make sure that it's actually adhered, don't do it this way where you're taking the tape off like this, because it may not be stuck to it. But if you squeegee it, you flip it over on the back, do a quick little and then, take it and peel it, the back off of the tape, it's way more likely to stick to that tape. Okay, so I definitely recommend doing that, doing it that way, so that when you do these larger sticker decal orders, you're not spending so much time fighting the vinyl to stick to the transfer tape, no matter whatever you're using. All right, next tip is about weeding. Now, most people will tell you, or you will see most people weed in a fashion where they start, they peel it up, and then they just rip it off. I am absolutely not that person. I've never seen anybody weed the way that I weed. I am extraordinarily slow. Because I don't like to recut things. That's my thing. I try to eliminate that. So the way that I weed is very slow. I recommend weeding extremely slow. So I'll take a finger and make sure it's stuck to the tape like this. Just one, maybe the thumb, depending on the angle. And then, just trying to make sure you guys can see this. So I come at it like this, and you see how slow I'm going? So going slow allows you to catch, mess ups before they happen. So now if I see that, oh, something isn't gonna come up, I can real quick put it back down and go, okay, let me just like take that and edge it around like this and peel it up, boom. So it allows for you to eliminate, see now this part was about to come up, so I caught that because I was going slow. So always, always, always go slow. And like with this particular one, I have to come underneath and pop that off like that and make sure that it doesn't take this part with it, okay? So as you do decals, you'll, especially if you're doing something repetitive like this, you'll start to understand and get faster at like what the problem areas are. So I definitely think when you're weeding, it's more than just like separating the design out from the excess vinyl. It's about creating a strategy to eliminate having to do extra work or extra cutting, wasting vinyl, wasting time, if you just go slow. Just like that. I don't mind taking my time. This was a 200 decal, or I'm sorry, 100 decal order, so a bit smaller. See, that was about to come up right there. There we go. See, I saved it. That's the benefits of going slow. But I forgot what I was saying, y'all. But boom. And see, I've been doing this for a minute, so I know all the problem areas to slow down even more on and kind of help that out so I don't have to lose a letter or anything. Boom, easy. So that I could have easily lost this part, these E's, very easy. I know these S's are problem areas, so I'll typically slow down. I slow down around here. And then another thing I do is if I see a little edge poking up, because sometimes that happens, I'll just take the weeding tool on the round side and kind of just work it back down. That way, you get it down, but you don't have like something like this where it's going to create an indentation in the vinyl. So I think that's cool. And then, of course, the normal, just pull out the middle of O's and D's and letters like that. And all done. All right? And then just as extra, like I said, I go through and pre-cut everything. So I actually could have took this off. And boom. Looks good, right? So I got these two to do. And out of 100, I haven't done all of them yet. I'm still working on it. But, all right, so I'm running out of space on my phone, so I'll keep this short. So out of everything that I've had to recut, as I was saying before my video cut off, I've only had to recut 3. This one I had to recut because I missed the eye because I was running my mouth while I was trying to weed. So you gotta focus, right? That's how you do that. And then this one is, I ripped the transfer tape while I was squeegeeing. That's why I was saying you gotta be careful when you're squeegeeing and don't squeegee too hard when you're using thinner transfer tape because you can rip it and then a perfectly good decal is now ruined because you did that. So, and then this one, I just laid the transfer tape wrong. So that little edge right there, not gonna come up. So minor errors, but they cost, So that's why I say you have to take your time when you're doing decals, especially when you're, squeegeeing or you're weeding. Take your time. Trust me, it's gonna save you all the headache and pain of having to recut, buying more vinyl because you keep messing up because you're rushing. Don't pull it like that. I don't know why everyone does that. I don't do that, and I have less errors because of it. So I definitely recommend taking your time and going as slow as you absolutely need to. Learn those problem areas in the beginning of your job so that you don't repeat it and you can learn, and that way you become more efficient as you go through the job. So definitely recommend that. And I think that's going to conclude this video of tips and tricks for doing decals. So until next time.